This is a stimulus and Social Security update. Got some important update to share with you. With the debt ceiling drama continuing, it looks like senators are considering Social Security reforms and House Republicans are considering slashing Medicare and Social Security. I'll give you the latest on that, plus what the new Speaker Kevin McCarthy has to say about it. When the Treasury is acting on this new debt ceiling that has been reached, looks like they are now starting to cut federal retirement funds. I'll give you the details on that. When it comes to stimulus update, will slowing inflation take stimulus aid off the table for 2023? New $1,000 checks going out next week and a new $2,600 proposal going on in one state. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more daily, straight-to-the-point updates on matters that financially matter to you. So inflation is cooling, but prices on many items are going to stay high for months. Let me know, do you feel the effects of inflation going down? Most likely not, because prices are still high for a lot of important items like food. So slowing inflation hasn't brought relief for consumers yet, because prices are still well above they were a year ago. Commodity and freight costs are falling, but won't immediately trickle down to consumers, in part due to supplier contracts and some companies' desire to boost profit margins. So what this means is, let's say prices were high and the price that the cost and then the price that items were sold for was like this, so it might have been a really tight margin. Now that the prices are going down, instead of the stores bringing down the price as well, they're leaving it high. So right in between here is where the companies are taking profits compared to passing down the savings to consumers. So that is one of the reasons why food prices may remain high for a while if the grocery stores or any retailer decides to take profits, saying, oh, consumers are used to these high prices, let's just take more profits rather than bring the price down. So that's one of the downsides of what's going on and why we may not see prices of food and other important essentials go down for a while due to companies taking profits. Let me know down in the comments below, are you seeing prices go down a little bit, or are they still high for you? Prices should go down. Let's see, stimulus update. Will slowing inflation take stimulus aid off the table for 2023? So what does it mean for inflation going down? How is that going to benefit us? Well, most likely not a stimulus check, at least a general one. We might see state ones, which I'll get to in a moment, but in terms of the general national federal stimulus check, probably not going to see that until a recession happens or unemployment numbers get so high. That could be when we see recession stimulus checks, as we did in 2001 and 2008. So until it gets to that point where unemployment numbers are really high, then that could be when we see a national stimulus check, but probably not anytime soon. Hero pay for essential COVID workers to start going out next week. This is going on in Connecticut. This is a hero pay program for essential workers, and payments of up to $1,000 are starting to go out on February 1st. So if you live in Connecticut and you are approved for this hero pay, this essential worker retroactive pay, then they go out February 1st up to $1,000. And this is new here. Waltz's two-year budget proposal includes checks of up to $2,600 per household. So, according to this budget proposal in Minnesota, this is a proposal. His direct payment plan, which differs slightly from last year's plan, calls for $1,000 checks for single filers making less than $75,000 a year, $2,000 for families with an income under $150,000, and up to $200 for each dependent with a max of 3. That means a Minnesota family with at least 3 kids and an income under $150,000 would get checks of $2,600. Anyone making over the thresholds, however, would not get a direct payment. So let me know if you're in Minnesota, maybe single or a couple. Are you looking forward to these $1,000 checks? Is this a good idea, bad idea? Should other states do this too? Let me know your thoughts on that. So as a reminder, that is just a proposal. when it comes to how the U.S. economy and how Americans are now affected by the debt ceiling. I'll go over that. So Yellen rejects minting $1 trillion platinum coin to avoid U.S. debt ceiling as a gimmick. So some were planning on minting a coin, mainly the progressive Democrats, minting a coin that is worth $1 trillion to hopefully get out of this whole debt limit debate. Not the case. Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary, says that is not a good idea and just a gimmick, so it looks like that is not going to happen. But there are some real consequences to this debt ceiling debate, or with the U.S. maxing out its credit card, essentially. So Treasury tells Congress it will suspend some federal retirement investments after debt limit breach. So the U.S. Treasury has suspended new investments in a federal employee retirement benefit program after the government reached its debt ceiling. The move is one of so-called extraordinary measures Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is taking to avoid default until Congress raises the federal borrowing limit. And Yellen said the agency can no longer invest fully in government securities investment fund until the debt ceiling is raised or suspended. Once that happens, then the retirement fund will be made whole, she wrote. So basically, federal employees retirement fund, I think anyone who is retired, if any federal employees who is retired is still going to get their federal retirement checks. But the fund as a whole looks like they are cutting on that, which could potentially affect future federal employee retirees. So this is just one of the measures, could get more extreme, not directly affecting anyone yet, but it could potentially do that. Some of the ways that they plan on using this debt limit debate is got some leverage here, making some cuts and stuff. So senators eye Social Security reforms as some in-house GOP consider cuts. So when it comes to what's going on with Social Security, one Republican senator said here, a wise senator said that whenever you see reform shore up those kinds of programs, it usually takes a divided Congress. So yeah, the Democrats are not too happy about this, as Republicans' plan to slash Social Security and Medicare are becoming clearer, saying we have no choice but to make hard decisions. So this is coming from House Republicans. They have alluded to cuts they want to make to the federal budget for months. They're becoming more explicit about those cuts involving Medicare and Social Security. They've indicated that they're willing to leverage raising the debt ceiling to secure cuts. Not raising the ceiling could spell financial disaster. So now that Republicans have more leverage and control, looks like their plans are starting to come out in terms of the actual Social Security cuts. Take a look at what Kevin McCarthy, new Speaker of the House, has to say about it.
Start with the beginning of the beginning. Joe Biden wouldn't meet with you, but now he said he is going to meet with you. But then he said he's not going to talk to you about any spending cuts in relation to the debt ceiling. I want to see how you're going to play this. This is tricky stuff. When is the appointment, by the by?
I'm not sure. I know he just met with the Democratic leaders right now. It's just irresponsible of the president not to sit down to negotiate. We're at $31 trillion debt. Every single family in America, when they hit a limit, they sit down and they talk to how to spend. Every business does this. You know, the old Joe Biden in 2011, that's exactly what he did. They actually called him the Biden negotiations. So, you know, since the 1980s, the 8 big moments where we got Grand Rudman and others were all around a debt ceiling. You know this, Larry. The Democrats negotiated with President Trump. We have now hit a point that we can't continue. If your child had a credit card and kept hitting its limit, you wouldn't just keep increasing it. You would first find out, what are you spending on? Look, I'm very reasonable. I'm very sensible. All I'm asking for is a responsible debt limit increase. And that means there's find common ground. Where are we wasting money? Let's eliminate that, and let's put us on a path that we can balance our budget. It will only make our future stronger for the next generation, and it'll make America in a much better position than any place else.
Well, I think I did mention it in the riff. That we had these showdowns down through the years. Most of them worked. They lowered spending and future borrowing. And I do think, Kevin, that if we want to stop the prosperity killers, we've got to stop spending. So, and
Exactly.
I think the polls show, I believe the public is on your side here, and the House Republicans. I mean, the polls show almost 60%, 3/5 say, yes, there's got to be some spending cuts attached. I'm just wondering how you feel. The White House, you know, they're leaking to people, well, he's going to come in, he being you. They're going to have a sit down, but we're not going to negotiate over the debt. I mean, if you do meet with them, will you negotiate over the debt?
We have to negotiate over the debt. Our whole government is designed to have compromise. Republicans control the House, Democrats have a small majority in the Senate, and he's the president. He is playing with the financial markets of America by saying he wouldn't negotiate. We've hit the limit, so now we have to June or July. Let's start communicating now and find where we can eliminate the waste, find the common places we get together, and have a responsible debt ceiling that's lifted but puts us on a path to make us financially stronger. And you're right, Larry, the latest poll by Rasmussen, only 24% of America agrees with the president's position, that he's not going to negotiate at all. Does he not believe that there's not $1 that you can find to eliminate waste in government? I mean, they just passed a $1.7 trillion bill that two senators wrote who are no longer here at the end of the year. The Democrats have never passed a budget. And what did they do in the last 4 years? They increased discretionary spending by 30%. $400 billion. You know, when we were in the majority for those 8 years, you know how much discretionary spending went up? Not $1. So yes, we can find a better way to manage this country, and we're at 120% of GDP in our debt. We've never been in this position before except for World War II, and we were funding not only saving America, but saving the world. Right now, we have to save America and stop the spending.
And, Mr. Speaker, the other thing is these little White House weenies, they're saying you're going to cut Social Security, you're going to cut Medicare, and you're going to default on the interest payments on the bonds.
None of that is true. And that's the bad part here, that the first administration said they won't negotiate, and then they want to play politics. Why are they so afraid to sit down to find where you can eliminate waste? I think every household, every business, every state can't go into debt. They have to have a balanced budget. Every city and county. Why do they think they're different? This is why we've gotten this mess. With the Democrats' one-party control, increasing discretionary by 30%, the Senate didn't even pass a budget or appropriation bills last time. So they never told even America where they would spend the money. Why don't we say, before you raise the debt limit, actually pass a budget and tell us where you want money for if you just want to increase it? Wouldn't that be responsible?
I'm almost afraid to ask you whether the Republicans in the Senate are going to give you any help. But I did notice Joe Manchin was out. I don't know, one of the talk shows said he was going to make a deal with Kevin McCarthy. I don't know if Mr. Manchin has that credibility. But it does occur to me, as you get towards the next election cycle, you might pick up some Democrats if you wanted to cut spending as part of the deal.
You look at Tester, you look at a number of these Democrats who are sitting in very tough seats that I think America wants to see some spending cut. But Manchin has reached out. He wants to come meet with me. I've got Democrats who are in the House who believe the exact same thing. I don't know anyone who agrees with the president that we should just raise the debt limit and have no negotiations, that they believe there's no area in government that we can eliminate waste.
So what are your thoughts on these cuts? Good idea, bad idea? What do you think about the debt limit debate? Let me know your thoughts on that. And to hopefully cheer you up a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you the one thing you should do for when you're feeling down and you want to follow your wishes. Then do whatever you want. It's a free country here. You can do whatever you want. So bye guys. Have a good night or a good day.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of your support. So got some good news from the doctor and a little